Welcome to this week's episode of the Lake Hill City Birds. For those of you that are new to my channel, I do a bird-related episode every Monday. I started this last year to show my grandma all the birds visiting our yard, and I continued in her memory after she passed away last October. If you aren't into birds or wildlife, then check back in on Wednesday. That's when I post a cooking video. If you're only interested in birds and not in cooking, I have a playlist entitled The Lake Hill City Birds if you want to go back and check out previous videos. I post a video to show you the birds or some wildlife that's visited our backyard, or sometimes we're making bird feeders. But there's always some sort of bird related video posted on Monday. It used to be on Friday, but it's now on Monday. I've learned a lot about birds over the last year. Each time I see a new bird, I look it up in this book. But as the year went by, I started seeing birds that weren't listed in this book, so I started trying out different apps. Out of all the apps, I like this one the best. It's called Picture Bird. It has a free version and also a premium version. And all I have to do is snap a photo of the bird and it identifies the bird for me. And it has not been wrong yet. I did a video a couple of months ago with what I thought was a yellow warbler, but it ended up actually being a pine warbler. I did a free trial on the premium version and I liked it so much that I ended up purchasing this app. And anyone that knows me knows I'm a free app kind of girl, and it has to be really good for me to buy it. It also has different articles like ways to attract birds to your backyard, and it will also help you identify birds just by the sound. I have learned a lot by just sitting in the backyard and watching the birds. It sounds boring, but it's actually entertaining once you learn each bird species' behavior. I am going to start doing a mini educational video at least once a month. I don't want to commit to every week because I don't know if I will have the time or energy, but I will try for once a month. This is going to be the first video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about attracting birds to your backyard by using water sources like bird baths, and also the importance of having water sources for birds. Sure, putting feeders up will attract birds, but if you want to attract more birds to your backyard, add a bird bath. There are some birds that are just not interested in bird seed. They don't eat bird seed. Birds like the eastern towhee, they're always scratching through the brush and pine straw looking for insects. Bluebirds prefer worms, but if you add water to your backyard, then you're going to attract a lot of different birds. Bluebirds love mealworms, but I don't put those out except in the winter time. We have tons of worms under all this pine straw that the birds will dig up. But when I start filling up the bird baths every morning, I can look up in the trees above and I see a couple of bluebirds waiting for fresh water. It's like when they hear the sound of water, they fly over and they wait. They live somewhere in the park behind us. I see dozens of them over there when I walk the dogs. I have a concrete bird bath that the birds love, and I also have two smaller bird baths that I made. Most books say to make sure you change your bird bath water every 3 days and at least weekly if possible. I change my concrete bird bath 2 times a day and sometimes more than that. I do this because I get a whole lot of bird traffic this time of year, and the fresh water only lasts about 2 hours. The birds stop for a drink, then they start splishing and splashing as they bathe. They splash all the water out, and I will fill it up before work. When I take a break, if I go outside and see it's dirty and almost empty, then I'll fill it up again. I work from home, so my breaks can be spent outside in the backyard. Then I'll rinse it and refill it after work. I'm thinking about getting another concrete bird bath because the birds love this one the most. And as you can see, the birds usually stop by for a drink. Birds need water just as much as we do. The water helps improve metabolism, keeps these birds healthy. They also love to bathe. A bird bath is also a great way to cool off on a hot summer day. Wild birds take advantage of all sorts of water sources. I've seen them bathing in the potholes in our driveway after it rains. The park behind our house has ditches that turns into streams after a heavy rain that the birds love. We also have Lake Chickamauga about 2.5 miles from here, and that is a very huge water source for them. Despite all of that, backyard water sources are just as important and are often safer. The water can be kept cleaner and fresher, and there are fewer natural predators, although we do have a few hawks in the neighborhood. I've got some really good footage of a Cooper's hawk hanging out in the pine tree last year. Bees also like the bird bath, and I never noticed this until I started videoing the birds in the bath. After the birds splash around, I see bees on the video too, stopping for some water on the edges of the bird bath. And bird baths can be as simple as a dish or a shallow basin. They can be on the ground or they can be higher up on a pedestal. My highest is the concrete bird bath, and then the other two that I made are lower to the ground. There are some birds, like I said, that are ground feeders, and they also like the ground bird baths. But you want to make sure there are places nearby for the birds to hide should a predator show up. In a few weeks, I'll have a lot of flowers blooming around the bird bath, and the birds also like that, especially the goldfinches. And also, a group of birds will sometimes hang out on the bird bath. I compare it to the human version of hanging out around the water cooler at the office. The birds look like they're just sitting there gossiping as they take a drink. This is how many different birds visited my bird bath in only an hour. This is what the bird bath looked like 3 hours later. Well, if you stuck with me this long, thank you. That's all for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed the birds. Stay tuned Wednesday for a cooking video, and as always, have a very blessed week.